Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing well. This week's topic is about crisis management. Crisis management, these are the two words you hope never to hear. The truth is, a crisis can strike your business at any time. Having a crisis management plan prepared will save your company. So if you are well prepared, you can still exit the crisis successfully, or in the most optimistic scenario, gain some capital. That's why you should always have a crisis management plan in place, especially during a global pandemic like COVID-19. Brands and companies have to move their marketing campaigns to digital or online. So social media plays a very important role to communicate with your consumers. So here are the learning objectives of this week's topic. First of all, we will define crisis in a marketer's term. Then we will explain how social media contribute to escalating and diffusing a crisis. And next, we will list and describe the elements of a crisis plan. And then we will explain the rules of crisis management. And finally, we will discuss how to navigate through a global crisis on social media. So first of all, let's take a look at what is business crisis. A business crisis is an event that has the potential to threaten the success and health of a company by tarnishing either its brand reputation, damaging its business operations, and also had a negative impact on its financial performance, and also is harmful to its employees. A business crisis can be caused by something internally or externally. Due to the severity of a business crisis, it is important to be prepared to manage one of these events with a plan. So crisis management is an important component of public relations. In general, social media is a double-edged sword in marketing. Social media allows consumers to share a story with the world. So everyone can post something about the brand, regardless of whether it is good news or bad news, or sometimes even fake news. It can create a crisis by broadcasting it to the public. But it can also be used by a firm to control the crisis and tell the public what steps are being taken to deal with the situation. So either way, the media, with its technology, can get a message to a large group of people or audience in a very short period of time. So to handle the crisis, social media listening and monitoring, we have discussed in the previous week, are quite important. So here are some data I'd like to share with you. Pew Research Center discusses how Americans are increasingly using social media to attend news and breaks them down, usage by different sites. According to their findings, 43% of US adults actually get news from Facebook, and 21% of them actually get news from YouTube. In addition, Reddit and Twitter are the social media sites with the most news-focused users. So these may be the sites that can generate crises and the sites you can use to control your crisis. And crisis management and crisis communications are business disciplines unto themselves and span the entire firm. For marketers, a crisis can take different forms. So crisis can occur when a product does harm to a customer or their property. Or crisis can come from situations where customers or publics discover their perceptions of a company, its brands, or products are not in line with reality. And crisis can be caused when the behavior and practices of people within a firm create troubles for marketers. All the financial, economics, and pandemic crises that change the consumer's buying behavior and affect the demand for your products. So these are different forms of crisis. So as I mentioned earlier, crises can occur from harmful products to the consumers. So for example, a number of beauty influencers and YouTubers took to social media in 2020 to speak out against Devacur products after previously promoting them to followers and fans. In addition, a corresponding Facebook group with more than 59,000 members actually cited hair damage and loss from using the products. So this controversy highlights the big picture impact of social media crisis management. For example, right, as you can see in this figure, the front page, Google results for Devacur, products include the coverage of the controversy, as well as the video, right? You can see, in the figure on the, left. The company has publicly addressed the allegations against their products. But the visibility of the issue won't disappear immediately. Right? It can, stay online for a very long time. But anyway, this is an example of the product crisis. And crisis can also come from situations in which customers or publics discover that their perceptions of a company or products are not in line with reality. So for example, in 2006, BP suffered a fatal refinery explosion and a pipeline leak while in the midst of repositioning itself as an environmental friendly and social responsible energy company with its Beyond Petroleum campaign. The company reacted to the crisis with subsequent cuts in productions and inspection practices to reduce the impact of these events. But such crises definitely damaged the company's brand image. So this is one example of the organizational crisis. So this is one example about personnel crisis. Also about how two employees tarnished the brand image of Domino's Pizza. So this is what happened. Two Domino's employees put a video of themselves on YouTube.com doing disgusting things with pizza and other ingredients. Of course, the company fired these two employees and had them prosecuted. And the CEO, the president, of Domino's Pizza, Patrick Doyle, had to issue his own statement on YouTube denouncing the employee's actions and reassuring customers that its pizza was clean and safe to eat. So this case tells us that, social media allows people to tarnish a 50-year-old brand easily overnight. So this is a typical example of personnel crisis. Crises are inevitable, especially with today's social media. Negative word of mouth spreads faster than you can imagine, and the firm needs to create a crisis communication plan. The plan is a mechanism the firm can use to assess a situation and clearly communicate to stakeholders both the magnitude of the crisis and what the company plans to do about it. So that is a plan of action to be implemented swiftly. And people from multiple levels of the company need to be involved in creating the plan, in crisis planning and crisis response. In general, a crisis plan should be so simple that anyone who can read can understand it. And since crises rarely appear exactly as anticipated, a plan should not be centered on the perfect scenario in which only a trained communicator is in charge of the execution. So these are the 4 steps you should follow to create a successful crisis communication plan, according to crisis communication expert Gerard Brown. So let's take a look at each step in greater details. The first step is vulnerability audit, right, which asks you to interview your employees and create a report based on what will go wrong and why. So in general, you should imagine every possibility for a crisis. Then rank them in order of probability of occurrence. And your interviewees should range from top executives to managers and to product line managers. And you should ask them a few simple open-ended questions, right, including what do you think might go wrong here that will result in a crisis? And you will want to consider the likelihood of the crisis and the worst case scenarios. So in the vulnerability audit step, you need to specify the 4 items: the title, the description, the likelihood of occurrence of the scenario, and the potential impact of the firm. So the PR team can create a table for vulnerability audit under each scenario. Right? So as you can see in this table, I can follow this template and create the audit for each type of crisis we mentioned earlier. The next step in the crisis communication plan is creating the heart of the plan. So this is the part of the plan that coordinates notification of key leaders during a crisis, right, as well as notification of the media, employees, customers, the community, and any other key stakeholders. Each plan should have 2 sets of statement templates. Now the first one is very basic, right, fill in a blank template, often called the first crucial statement. The most basic facts should be communicated within 1 hour of the crisis start, right, as you can see in this statement of Southwest Airlines. The second statement is more detailed, as described in step 3. It is likely to be issued during the 2nd hour of the crisis. So the third step is preparing scenario statements. So these are written statements taken from your list of possible scenarios and include what you would say to your critical audience in the event when crisis happens. The portion of a crisis plan that maps out the who, what, when, where, why, and how of specific potential crises. So this may be the templates then that you would update or update it as you need them. So once written, these templates need to be submitted to the members of your crisis management team for pre-approval, so they can be immediately released without further permission should a crisis occur. Okay, so it is very important to prepare these scenario statements. So here is one example of a social media crisis handled with honesty and speed. So an insensitive tweet about President Obama's grandmother was posted to the KitchenAid's Twitter account, right, instead of the personal account of a KitchenAid staff member. Right, so he probably accidentally used his own account to tweet about the company's account. The tweet was quickly deleted, but many people had already seen it. So the head of the KitchenAid brand, Cynthia, saw that, took to the Twitter account just 15 minutes later and explained what had happened. She apologized to President Obama and the public and pointed out that the person who posted this will no longer be tweeting for them. Okay? So social monitoring is very important, right? So whenever there's a crisis, you need to respond to that crisis swiftly. Another example is from the British grocery store, Tesco, when they face a product crisis. So in the statement, they summarize what actually happened, and they also specified their action. Withdraw products from suppliers in both online and retail stores. So you can prepare a sample scenario statement like this, and detail how you are going to respond to a crisis. So last step is testing. A crisis communications drill lets all parties become familiar with the plan. Now go through each crisis scenario and ensures it will work as intended. Many organizations schedule regular emergency drills. Drills may include both role players, portraying members of the media, and an off-site team who works to overload switchboards with phone calls and social media posts. So during the crisis, you may receive a lot of phone calls from media, and consumers, or negative posts, on your social media accounts. So practice how to respond to their questions, for press conference, how you are going to respond to questions from different parties, and how you're going to reply to those negative comments on social media. The key is to have everything pre-written, embraced by both legal and corporate leaders before the crisis. So here are some tips. First of all, move swiftly. If possible, break the story yourself. Speed allows you to control the message. Remember, with social media, stories travel at the speed of light, and you don't want to have opposing points of view dominating the dialogue on an issue that concerns your company. And also, you want to keep all stakeholders informed. Good stakeholder communication also keeps everyone on the same page and minimizes the chance of conflicting stories reaching the media. Okay, so make sure you keep all stakeholders informed. And be truthful. Tell the truth and not try to cover up. And also be an information resource and be decisive. Say this is what happened. Here's what we are going to deal with it. And also apologize and move on. It's okay to say that you're sorry. In fact, if you have something to be sorry for, it's a good idea to apologize. However, be sure not to dwell on the apology. At best, over-apologizing keeps the issue in the public eye for longer than necessary. And also you want to keep the media up to date and use video to communicate. So ideally, right, a response time of 12 hours is considered the norm when it comes to questions and concerns on social media. However, social media crisis management means responding as quickly as possible. The sooner you are able to react, the better. Whether that means deleting a post or issuing an apology depends on the situation. So for example, social media engagement tools like Sprout Social, right? You should be familiar with those features now, can notify you of engagement spikes and spot a potential crisis before it has a chance to snowball. Okay, so make sure you move swiftly. Last but not least, we would like to talk about the crisis management on social media during the current challenging and uncertain situation. Social media has shown how the world has adjusted to the COVID-19 pandemic. Consumer behavior transformed overnight. But brands should expect to see this change stick around for the long run. Delivery services and online shopping portals are consumers' new normal. And that's what they will expect from brands even after the virus is brought under control. Business in all types of industries, right, not just food services or consumer goods, should expect a demand in online services from now on. So first of all, prioritize social consumer care. Brands need to go where their customers are. And these days, that's 100% online, right? Since everyone is staying at home. Social media is often the first place consumers will look, for information. It provides brands the best opportunity to stay connected with their audience. And in times of crisis, social customer care is what will empower brands to weather this uncertainty. So it's more important than before for brands to listen, to respond, and communicate effectively with their customers through social media. And as we mentioned earlier, social listening can help you monitor conversations and the sentiment around your brand, whether it is positive or negative. And this can help you spot the beginnings of a crisis and potential issues that your customers might have before they blow up. So in addition to Social Searcher, Hootsuite, BrandWatch, Sprout Social, and Analytic, we have discussed in the previous weeks, a Warrior is a relatively new tool that makes social media and web monitoring more affordable, for business. The plan actually starts at $29 per month, right? It's much cheaper compared to Sprout Social, and they offer 7-day, free trial. Okay, so make sure you set up social listening, right, to spot any negative sentiment around your brand. And while there's no roadmap for navigating a global pandemic, marketers can turn to social data to inform the direction of their content and keep a pulse on the conversation. Insights from social media actually provide brands a better understanding of what their audience is concerned and how the ongoing pandemic is influencing their behaviors. And there are also larger trends brands need to keep an eye on when digging into their social data. For example, As you can see from data provided by Sprout Social, in March 2020, when the WHO declared the global pandemic, the top 5 stay-home activities include cooking, baking, fitness, video games, and happy hour. So what does social data reveal about the long-term impact of the virus? Where have own buyer behaviors? And how are brands taking steps to resolve these changes? Now, some brands, such as Down Dog, right, as you can see in this figure, right, is a yogurt in the app. They actually has listened, responded, and communicated with the target audience, quite effectively using social media, to embrace all these changes. Right, as you can see, in the figure on the left. And last but not least, always lead with empathy, not fear. We are all in this together. Right? We can all practice empathy and understand how others must feel. Now, more than ever, brands need to demonstrate their human side. How are you supporting your customers during this crisis? What can you do to ease some of the challenges your community is facing? Remember, we are all impacted in some way by this pandemic, and people's priorities are shifting. What do insights from social data say about your audience concerns? And what are your followers asking of you? With this information, right, you can make your content more authentic and relevant and remind people they can trust you. In addition, brands should be careful not to market to the fear and anxiety people are experiencing. Right? Even if you think stoking fear can help you sell more products. Global crises are not a market opportunity to capitalize on. And brands like Clorox and 3M are seeing their products sell out in the wake of the virus. But their messaging, right, as you can see in this figure, has remained educational, sensitive, and calm. And even if you can't provide help, it may be best for you to publish a single message to showcase your empathy in this situation. Even if it is just a simple note, right, from your CEO, like the CEO from Room, as you can see in this figure, the brand offered free services for students and teachers in response to the COVID-19. It may do wonders to reduce fear and anxiety, of your audience. But just make sure it aligns with the brand you have built in order to resonate with your customers. And generally speaking, right, brands today need to be equipped to respond, right, with the right social media tools, the right listening and monitoring tools, and a crisis action plan. You can, survive, right, from a global crisis. So in summary, this week we have talked about crisis communication. What are the major steps, of the communication plan? And also we talk about some tips, right, to navigate your company through the crisis. More cases about how companies, like Starbucks and United Airlines handle crises have been posted on Blackboard. So please check the articles by yourself, right, if you are interested. And here are the assignments for this week. Right, please, remember to join the discussion of the fake news on Blackboard. And also please remember to complete the Google Alert assignment. Okay? The template and instructions has been posted on Blackboard. So please check by yourself. I hope you enjoy the lecture and discussion this week. And this will be our last lecture. I will give you more time to work on your final project next week. And please do not hesitate to contact me, right? If you have any questions or concerns, right? You know my cell phone number. Feel free to call me or set up a Zoom meeting. So have a nice week and good luck to all of your finals. Take care. Bye-bye.